The Tower of Babel story teaches important lessons. It's a story about pride. It's about forgetting God. People can sometimes forget who is really in charge. They can forget their place in the world. This story, found in Genesis chapter 11, is very significant. It comes after the Great Flood, a time of new beginnings. It also comes before the story of Abraham, the father of many nations. The Tower of Babel connects these important stories. It shows how God continues to guide humanity even when people make mistakes. After the flood, the earth was cleansed and renewed. Life started fresh. God gave Noah's family specific instructions. He told them to spread out across the earth. He told them to fill the earth with people. He wanted them to multiply and thrive. He encouraged them to create new communities in different places. Genesis chapter 10 tells the story of how Noah's descendants began to do this. They migrated to different lands. They formed different groups. Different languages began to emerge. This diversity of languages and cultures was part of God's plan. He wanted a world filled with variety and different expressions of human life. But in Genesis chapter 11, something changed. The people began to drift away from God. They forgot His instructions and His purpose for them. They decided to build a city, a great city, all together in one place. And in the center of this city, they began to build a very tall tower. This tower, they hoped, would reach all the way to heaven. They wanted to make a name for themselves. They wanted to be famous and powerful. They disobeyed God's command to spread out. They wanted to create their own kingdom, their own center of power. This tower, this symbol of their ambition, was called Babel. They used strong bricks and clever engineering. They were skilled builders, but they used their skills for the wrong purpose. This tower was all about their own glory, not God's. God saw their growing pride. He saw the tower rising higher and higher. He knew their plan, their intentions. He knew it was not good. They wanted to be like God, to challenge His authority. This was an act of rebellion, so God acted. He confused their languages. He caused them to speak different languages so they could no longer understand each other. Confusion erupted at the construction site. The work on the tower stopped. The name Babel itself means confusion. This story shows how language can be a powerful force. It can unite people, but it can also divide them. God scattered the people across the earth. In a way, He fulfilled His original plan for them to spread out. But it happened not as they intended, but as a consequence of their disobedience. Their pride led to their downfall, but God used their mistake for a greater purpose. This scattering led to the creation of different nations and languages, fulfilling God's desire for diversity. God can use even bad things for good. He can bring good out of difficult situations. Genesis chapter 11 also tells about Shem's family. Shem was one of Noah's sons, and he is an ancestor of Abraham. God's plan for humanity continued through Shem's lineage. Terah, Abraham's father, moved his family from their homeland towards the land of Canaan, the land God had promised. But Terah stopped along the way in a place called Haran. He died there, never reaching the promised land. This shows that not everyone follows God's plan fully. Sometimes people fall short. The Babel story is a story about ambition. It's about the desire for power and fame. It's about the danger of pride. The people of Babel wanted to be like God. They wanted to control their own destiny. This story teaches us the importance of humility. It reminds us to remember who is really in control. It teaches us to respect God's power and authority. Language plays a crucial role in this story. At first, everyone spoke the same language. This shared language helped them work together on their ambitious project, but it also enabled them to unite in their rebellion against God. When God mixed their languages, they could no longer work together effectively. Their plans were frustrated. This highlights the importance of understanding each other, of clear communication. The story shows the complex relationship between diversity and unity. God wanted people to spread out and create diverse communities. But He also intended for them to be one family, united in their relationship with Him. Pride breaks this unity. It creates division and separation. But even in their separation, God's plan continued to unfold. He continued to work through human history, even when people strayed from His path. The Babel story teaches us important lessons for our own lives. It teaches us to be careful with our ambition. It warns us not to try to be bigger than God. It encourages us to listen to God's voice and follow His plan for our lives. It reminds us to be humble and to recognize our limitations. It encourages us to try to understand each other, even when we are different. We are all part of God's family, and we need to treat each other with respect and kindness. The story of Babel looks ahead to the story of Abraham, a man who listened to God and followed His call. The Tower of Babel story is short, but it is packed with meaning. It teaches us about ambition and the dangers of pride. It teaches us about the power of language, both to unite and to divide. It teaches us about God's plan for humanity and how He continues to work through history, even when people make mistakes. This story is still relevant today. It reminds us to be humble, to communicate well with each other, and to seek God's guidance in our lives. It helps us understand ourselves and our place in the world. It shows how God works in mysterious ways, often bringing good out of difficult situations. The story of Babel is both a warning and a hope. It warns us about the dangers of pride and self-reliance. It offers hope in God's continuing plan for humanity, a plan that ultimately leads to redemption and reconciliation. Remember this story. Learn from it. Let it guide you in your own life. Before time was measured, a story began. Sacred Narratives brings that story to life. And what you hear today is only a fragment. Unlock the full experience on Spotify, audiobooks.com, Everand, Rakuten Kobo, B and N Audiobooks, TuneIn, Baker and Taylor, Bibliotheca, Overdrive, and the Sacred Narrative app. The full journey is waiting. Please like and subscribe.